Hi. Okay, I think that's enough. We're going to get started now. Okay, so, well, for those who are just coming in, I'm just going to introduce myself again. My name is Yan, and I'm going to be hosting this webinar on CYPECAD and the BIM workflow. And my colleague Pablo will be joining us at the end of the webinar to answer any questions you guys have. And so a quick overview of this program. CYPECAD gives us all the necessary tools to analyze and design reinforced concrete and steel structures that are subject to horizontal and vertical forces. And this program was developed by CYPE so that they are part of the BIM workflow. So that means all the projects are developed so that the information, such as the calculation and analysis, are stored in a cloud every step of the design process. And our platform allows for users specializing in different sectors to work simultaneously on the same project. So for example, if you have a civil engineer or a mechanical engineer, you guys can work on different parts of the project at the same time. And you guys can all have a better visualization of the project in real time. So to get started, we will begin by designing the geometry of the building, which you can use any architectural program that exports an ISC file, for example, Revit or ArchiCAD. But today I'm going to be using ISC Builder, and that is CYPE's architectural design program. So I have the CYPE application open, and here we have our ISC Builder. And I'm just going to create a new file. You can name it anything you want. And I'm just going to show you guys how we can quickly draw a building. So here we can turn on the draw grid, and we can turn on the dimensions. And we're going to go under the architecture tab, and we're going to start designing our building. So I'm going to start by clicking on the walls and partitions option, and I'm going to select external wall. I'm going to create a new reference, and I'm going to set my thickness to 0.3. So I'm going to make the length 14.5, 7, and so on. So you have the dimensions of your building, and you just draw the outline of it. Oh, okay, my bad. Let's start again. Okay, so right now I have my walls set up, and I'm going to add a floor slab. And again, I can give it a reference. Okay, and now that's completed. I'm going to go back and add a partition, which is the interior walls to separate my house. Again, another reference, and we can change the thickness. Okay, and one more room. Okay, and once that's completed, we can add other things such as openings. So I can add a window, and we can place it all around our structure. And also we can add some doors. And once that's done, we can add our roof, but just before that, I want to show you guys what it looks like in 3 dimensions of what I made so far. So right now, this is what I've just created. So as you can see, we have the windows, the doors, and so on, and all I have to do right now is add a roof. Okay, and let's check this out. Okay, so right now I have the red circles, which indicate that there's an overlap in my structures. Okay, yeah, my bad. I was drawing the roof on the ground floor, which doesn't work. So you actually have to go up to the roof section, and that's where you draw the roof. Oops. And now we have a roof. Okay, so once that is completed, you can actually also name the type of spaces that you have in our building. So this will be office 1, bathroom, meeting room, common area, and stairs. No, since that it can just be another room. Room 1. Oops. Okay, and then once that's done, you can export this to create a new project. But now I'm actually going to open up a pre-made example of the building that we're going to work with today. But I hope you guys were able to learn a little bit of how you can draw an IFC builder. And if you guys want more information or tutorials, we have videos up on our YouTube channel explaining how you can navigate through IFC builder better. So right now I'm going to be opening up a project of a residence building that I've created beforehand. And this is what the geometrical model of our building looks like. So we have 5 floors. And we're going to see this in a 3D view. So this is what the building that we will be working with today looks like in the IFC builder. So once you have your building complete, again, we're going to export this and we're going to create a new project. going to name it webinar April 5th. And it's going to be, I'm going to say it's a course and seminar type of project. It's going to be visible to my contact and open to my contacts for collaboration. Okay. Now it's going to export this project into the BIM model. Okay, great. It's been exported. And I'm just going to check. Okay, that it's properly synced, and you want to see, you have to have the BIM server.center sync application open so that your project can be synced properly. And a way to check if it has been synced properly is to go to bimserver.center.com and sign into your account, which I have right here. And then you go under your projects, and you can see webinar April 5th has been created. And it has been, exported properly to our project. And under the file, you can see our IFC file over here of all the drawing. So now we will go and start with our CYPECAD program. And we're going to create a new project, and we're going to call it the same thing. And we're going to begin by importing a BIM model. So the one that I just created. So that means that I'm not going to be starting this project from scratch. Instead, I'm going to have the template and the geometrical model already imported. So all the drawings and floor plans will be there. So I'm going to import all the roofs, as well as the columns that were defined in the program, and as well as the walls and partitions. So right now I have the general data screen open, and I get to choose the code, like the selected building codes for each of my materials. And I'm going to be choosing the EU code, or whichever one that you want that's in here. Okay. And underneath here, we have different types of concrete and of all the materials that you can choose from, but I'm going to leave it as it is. And here we can define our dead and live load that's going to be present in our structure. Okay, so once I've inputted my live load and dead load, I'm going to click accept. And I can also check that my building will be experiencing wind loads. And again, here you can pick the country that you're in. And here I'm going to click on EU. And for tributary width, I'm going to input the parameter of my building, which is 19 by 16. And here we can select the terrain category. And now I'm going to select seismic loading. And again, I'm going to select EU. And here we can select the soil type as well as the importance of the job. And also here, if you want to check the fire resistance. So here we have the different coatings for our columns and beams. You can fill that out based on the building code requirements. So here is our project. And now we are in the columns definition, but because I already defined this in the IFC builder, we don't need to do anything here other than if you wanted to edit one of the columns or add a new one. So to edit, we can go to introduction and we can go to columns and click edit and select any of the columns here. And you can see that we can change the type of section that we have, and we can change the material. So right now I have a reinforced concrete, but I also can change it to steel or composite section. But I'm going to leave it as it is. And we can move on to the beam definition tab, where we will introduce the beams, the walls, and the slabs. And we also can click on this button right here, which is a 3D view of the building. So right now, all we have are the columns that have been imported. So this is actually the drawing of our building, which is going to be helpful so that we can use it as a template. And we're going to start by introducing a wall. And you have four different options of four different types of walls that you can introduce: reinforced concrete, plain stress walls, reinforced concrete block wall, or a masonry wall. And we're going to be introducing a reinforced concrete wall. Okay, so I'm going to make this wall from the ground floor to the fifth floor, and this is the thickness that I want it to be. So I'm going to say 0.1 on the left side, and then 0.1 on the right side. And once that is accept, when I click on accept, I can zoom in, and I'm going to put a wall around the elevator that I have drawn here. And I'm going to click on the orthogonal on and off snapping thing. And once that's done, we can save it, and then we can click on the 3D view again just to check out what we have just created. So right now I have my wall defined. And now I can add the beams. And here we have a selection of beams to choose from. So I'm going to choose flat beam, and there are different types of flat beams, and I'm going to just choose the rectangular flat beam. And I'm going to make the width 30 centimeters. And I'm going to place it here just to close the gap between my elevator. And I'm going to place the beams around my building, around the perimeter of my building. And once that's done, I'm going to now go under slabs, and I'm going to click on panel manager, and I'm going to delete the panel of my elevator because I don't want a slab here because I'm going to insert a lift. So once that's deleted, I can click now on define panel, and I want a waffle slab. And that's going to go on the rest of the floor. So once that's completed, always save your project. And then we're going to click on the 3D view again just to see what we have created. So right now, this is what we have. And then we're going to go do the same for all the different types, all the different floors. So right now we've just completed floor 1, and now we're going to go to floor 2 and do the rest. But I'm going to open up a pre-made example. Oh, and before that, you can also introduce loads if you know if you know a point load, line load, or a surface load. You can just add it to your structure. For example, if you have a surface load, you can just introduce one here. Okay, so I'm going to open up the pre-made version. Okay, before that, I'm just going to go over again the different types of slabs that we have. Oh yeah, I just forgot to mention that we have different types of slabs here, such as a joist slab, hollow core slab, composite slabs, waffle slab, which is the one that we use, flat slab, which is pretty generic, a mat foundation, and one that you can just introduce manually. Okay, now we can go to the pre-made example. So this is the completed version. So if we go through all of the floors, you can see that everything has been defined properly. And that's the roof. And our ground floor has footings as well as beam connections, strap beam connection. Okay, and once this is completed, we can go to analysis. And before that, we're going to click on the 3D view. So this is what our final project will look like. And we can actually view the BIM 3D version of this model. And here we have different elements, and you can turn on or off, such as foundation. You can hide different types of elements. Okay, now we can go and analyze our project, and sometimes because of the project being too big, it does take a while, but I have analyzed this beforehand so that we don't waste any time. So once it's analyzed, you can then go to the results. And here, the program designs all the reinforcements in your structure. And we can check all the reinforcements in every element by going under the selected element that you want to look at. So for example, I'm going to look at beams, the beams. and I'm going to choose one. And here is a visual representation of our beam. And here you can see the moment diagram right here, as well as the shear force and all of the reinforcements that are in the beam. And here we have a diagram of our beam as well, but this is, the red represents the reinforcement that is required for the beam, and then the green is what we have achieved. So if the green is above the red, that means that it is sufficient. But as you can see right here, where my mouse is, the red just surpasses the green a little bit. That means that the reinforcement in this area, so right here, as you can see my cursor, it's not sufficient. And other things that I can show you, you can do a code check at a different section of our beam. So for example, I can check this specific part. So right here, and we can see that there are 2 checks that fail. So it's the torsion failure limit state. And in the code, you can see where you went wrong. And the code also gives you the equations and an explanation of the equation. Now that's done, we can go to okay, well, before that, I'm just going to show you guys another beam. This is a continuous beam, and it's similar to the other one, but I just want to show you guys that, again, you can check now different sections of the beam. Okay, now moving on to the waffle slab, we can panel data. We can modify the reinforcements if you don't like the ones that the program already did for you. So you can modify the diameter, you can move the reinforcements, you can define different ones or delete ones that you don't think are necessary. And we will now go to under columns. We're going to check the reinforcements in the columns. So right now, these are the ones that have been selected for our column, and you can actually see it in 3 dimensions by clicking on the 3D view. And here we have the reinforcements. Under detailing, we have a drawing detailing all of the reinforcements. And we also have a check report for this column. And as you can see here, all of it, this column meets all of the requirements because it has a green check. And here we have a biaxial moment diagram of our column, as well as the stress and strain of each rebar in the column. And this can be exported or shared or printed. And you can move through each of the different columns. So this is another taller column, and here you can see we have a lot more reinforcements. So again, if you don't like the reinforcements that's been introduced here, you can actually edit them by clicking on the table and introducing it manually, or we can go to edit in column schedule where it's a easier visualization of our editing process. And you can do so right here. So we can select different types of reinforcements. So now once we've finished looking at the reinforcements and we're satisfied with our design, we can go to another tab called Deform Shape. And we can set the factor. So if it was a factor of 1, this is what the deformation would be. But I'm just going to increase the factor to maybe 5. And here we can look at the different load cases, for example, self-weight, dead load, or live case, or we have a combination of the different loads. And you can actually, well, actually I'm going to make this 10 just to make it more dramatic. But you can see an animation of this deformation happening. So yeah, here's a visual representation of the deformation. Now we're going to move to contour maps. So this is a visualization of the displacement using a color scale. And again, you can move through the floors to see the different visualization. You can see the displacements, the forces, the design forces and steel areas, and so on. So if you click on forces, and you can select the type of forces. Okay, once that is completed, we can go back to our results tab and we can look at the reports. In here, the program has a whole list of reports that you can look at. So I'm just going to click one called reinforcement quantities per diameter, which will be important for manufacturers. And I'm going to select from the ground floor to the roof. So here we have the length of our reinforcements as well as the weight. And we have it for every element of every floor. So for waffle slabs, the flat slabs, the concrete beams, and so on. And again, you can export this or print it as you wish. Other reports are the jump data report. And here you can select all the things that you want to be included in the report. Okay, so we're at the ground floor now, and we're going to go to foundations, and we're going to click on the foundation element. And here you can see that we have different types of foundations available. So right now we are using the eccentric rectangular footing. And we have a code check for this footing. And we can see that all the checks have been verified. And here we have a report of this footing. And this is the 3D view. So you can see of the reinforcement bar in our footing. And under foundations, you can also look at the strap and tie beam. And we can click on edit beam design. And similarly to the other beams, we can see the reinforcements in the beam. And again, we're going to look at the code check. And we can see that it has been verified. And again, in 3D view, the reinforcements can be seen. And lastly, we're going to look at the drawings. So this program can generate a lot of different types of drawings. We're going to look at detailing of columns. And we're going to add also floor plans. Okay, so we're going to click on detail of drawings or drawing detail. And here you can see that the program has inputted all the drawings of our selected elements. And this you can print off as well. And you can do it for all of them. So there's our floor plan with the reinforcements. Punching shear reinforcement. And now we're going to select a new drawing type. We can also look at frames drawings. And we're going to select it from the roof, from floor 1. So here we have the details of all the reinforcements in the beams. And we can print this. And we can export this as a DWG file. And when we're drawing, we're going to select the column schedule. And here we have all the information regarding each column that we have in our building. And if you wanted to make an edit within the geometrical model of the building, you can do so by going back to our ISC builder, making the necessary changes, and then clicking on this update button will update the BIM model. And once you have done that, we can go back to our project in CYPECAD, and we can click on the update button again to refresh the model, and you'll see the changes there. So now that it's completed, I'm going to export this in IFC format back to our project. Okay, well, I've already exported one beforehand, and we're just going to open it up in bimserver.center. So here you can see that the file from CYPECAD has been uploaded, and in this we can see the, oh, my session expired. Okay, just 1 second. I'm going to sign up. Sometimes when you're on it for too long, it would log you out. So here's the 3D view of the structure that we made, and we can, and yeah, that's it. So now if you guys have one more. Okay, here you can see the architectural model and the structural model. And another function that we have here is the clip planes. So you can click which axis you want to cut, and we can drag the arrow to see the inside of our building, which is a pretty neat function. And you can also show the different types of information by clicking on the arrow. And in the top right corner, you can see that we have the information. So we can select, for example, a section of the column, and on the top right corner, we can see that it has the information of the material and the code number. So now that concludes the end of my tutorial. If you guys have any questions, now is the time to ask. But if you don't have any, you guys are free to go. But thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.